Welcome to The Young and the Restless. I'm Victor.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Olivia. And this is the podcast in the hole in the bog down in the valley-o.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
How was your guys' weekend?
What did we do this
What
weekend?
did we do this weekend?
I can never remember my weekend. It's always just like a blur. What did we do?
Saturday, Sunday,
House.
Those are the days of the weekend, yeah.
Monday. Yeah.
Wow, I really don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember anything.
Did we get abducted?
Yeah, we watched the alien stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that was before the weekend.
Okay, all right.
I have to watch that. Jeremy and George were there.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That's
And
crazy.
they've been making content about it that, obviously if they had it in the budget, like I would have gone with and been handling like technical side of that, but it wasn't in the budget, and also it was like too last minute to coordinate something like that. I have to catch up on all the alien news.
There's a lot of alien news.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's an obscene amount of alien news.
Do you want us to fill you in on the alien news? We can like get you up to speed as best as we can.
So there's these black cubes
Yeah.
in a clear sphere
Right.
with all points of the cubes touching the sphere.
And apparently they're all over the place. They're seeing them all the time up there.
all
Really?
the time. Yeah, to a point where it's like part of their pre-flight preamble. They are like, now you might see some aliens.
If you do, don't say shit.
Don't say anything. It's not a good look. You should watch the hearing. It's super
I will.
interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's entertaining
for sure.
just because it's the weirdest thing you're ever going to see in like a C-SPAN setting.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I've been dying to watch it. I'm getting antsy that I haven't been able to.
Remember in high school, I was like, it's not like I watched C-SPAN, but I think I was like flipping through channels. I ended up on like C-SPAN 2, and it was like British Parliament. But like, I was like, they were like very like harumphy. It was like somebody was trying to talk, and then they were just like screaming and jeering and like tearing them down. And I was like, this is awesome. I wish Congress was like this.
You were a kid with the thought, I wish Congress was like this.
Like it would be more like it would be more interesting. I don't know. It's like I would watch it.
Yeah.
I wasn't a kid. I was like in high school, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was not watching C-SPAN in high school. I was still watching Nickelodeon.
I
Victor
wasn't
was into
watching
Buddhism
C-SPAN.
and watching C-SPAN.
No. I was just flipping through. I think I watched like The Daily Show a lot, but I wasn't like I wasn't like into politics. But like I don't know, like British Parliament, though they're like entertaining. I don't know. They're just yelling at each other.
I thought I was into politics in high school. It turns out I just listened to Rage Against the Machine.
That
was as
tells you
far as
most
it-
of what you need to know.
It's as far as it actually went. No, I read a few books that I learned about from Rage Against the Machine songs. But
Yeah. Do you remember Paul Ryan? Like
yes, that's what I was just going to say. There was a politician who stood for like the opposite of what they stood for that was using their music. That's what you're going to say, right?
Yeah. He was like a Republic. I think he was like the speaker or something. But he was, he said Rage was his favorite band.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if he actually used their music in any like
Did they come for him?
Oh yeah. Yeah, they fired back.
I love when that happens. When like some assholes like, oh, that's my idol. And they're like, we hate you.
Yeah.
Like how must that feel?
When one of the Kardashians did a photo shoot in a Slayer shirt, and then like shortly thereafter, one of the members of Slayer wore a Kill the Kardashians shirt on stage. That was pretty metal.
Yeah. I feel like you'll hear those stories like fairly regularly of like bands asking politicians to please stop playing their songs at campaign rallies.
Yeah, because half of the bipartisan system is, conservative and Republican, and almost all musicians, except for like Ted Nugent, are left-leaning.
Yeah.
I'm just
So-
thinking of Steven Crowder's Foo Fighters
Oh my God.
cover.
What?
Oh, you haven't seen that?
No.
uh,
Who's Steven Crowder?
Oh, you sweet summer child.
Is that a politician?
No, he's like a right-wing talking head, like a guy with a podcast, basically.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm already turned off. I'm already flaccid.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the right's biggest innovation in comedy is fucking trolling.
Mm.
That's their idea of the pinnacle of funny. And so when you pair trolling with parody song making, it's hard to imagine something less funny than that. Only one person is allowed to make parody songs, is Weird Al,
Yeah,
That's right.
That's true.
and have it be funny. I mean,
No one else is allowed.
Yeah, that's true. I had an interesting conceptual follow-up to last week's episode.
Oh, you had like a follow-up dream or just a follow-up reflection?
A dream that followed up conceptually.
Okay.
So it wasn't like a part 2, but it like ties, it relates.
Okay.
Last week I did the one about the paintball fight in
That's right.
the camera, right?
Mm-hmm.
This isn't a whole segment or whatever. This is more like an update on my thoughts. I had a dream recently because all I have is a piece of this dream, where I was in a body of water, kind of Lake Washington-esque. I feel like I dream about Lake Washington a lot.
Yeah.
Probably because I used to live by it and I went there all the time. But I was in like an inflatable pool floaty thing, and I had a fucking crossbow. And I remember feeling like I'm supposed to do something with this weapon, but I'm looking around and there's like a ton of people splashing around and having fun. And I'm like, what do I do? Like, no one looks like a target. Everyone looks completely innocent. And there's nothing, there's no threat. There's no danger. If I do something with this crossbow, like I feel like I'm supposed to, it's going to be dark and bad and like ruin the trajectory of this moment or this dream, which, I had no, I was dreaming at the time. Was not lucid. And finally I settled on, it must be for self-defense. I think what I'm supposed to do is just lay here in this pool floaty, and if anything happens, then I have a crossbow. And waking up, it felt significant in relation to that dream from last week, because there was what I interpreted to be a situation. I thought it was World War II, and I ended up killing an innocent guy with
Right.
a rock.
Mhm.
And in this dream, I felt like maybe our conversation about it had sunk in. And I was like, even though I feel like I'm supposed to do something with this crossbow, like I felt like it was given to me for a reason. Maybe that reason is just self-defense. Maybe I'm not supposed to fire it. And I just chilled the rest of the dream.
I think that's great. Yeah. I think you're
Feels
right.
like a good sign, right?
It does. Yeah. It feels like you're being like challenged with something. Your brain's trying to like prep you for not having a big reaction or something. And you did that in the dream, not shooting anybody. You're worried you're
Yeah.
going to shoot somebody.
Yeah, it didn't go so far as to give me a challenge. Like, it didn't present it as World War II, like in the last dream. Like, it didn't give me a false threat, but it did give me the seed of like this crossbow is important.
Yeah.
And I really felt like I was compelled to fire it, but none of the, in no direction around me did it seem safe or favorable to fire it.
Your brain was like, paintball's like a good enough hint, right? And then it wasn't. And then it reeled back to like, okay, let's have a chill beach day.
Yeah.
Let's start there.
And instead of having to like roll a rock at somebody, you get a full on
Right.
medieval weapon.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, no, it does sound like that's stuck in your brain, or like that's like that to me says like there's a underlying pattern there that you're trying to like work through, you know? It's that thing where your brain's running simulations trying to prepare you for something. Like I was having with the with my like overreaction dreams. I still haven't figured out what they mean, so I'm probably still having them and just don't know about it.
Yeah, I mean, the tie into reality is still pretty nebulous to me, but
I mean, it could be like you're in a state where like you're kind of worried about a lot of different things, and it could just be like a sign to like just chill, and when there is a problem, you're prepared to deal with it. But like just float.
just float.
Everything's good right now.
Yeah, just float until you need to act in self-defense.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah. Don't just go firing off the crossbow at the lake.
Right.
Just
We're
because
not-
you have a crossbow.
Yeah, we're not preemptive striking here.
Oh, I should have led with this. I did my homework, you guys.
Ice cream?
I
Face
had
off?
soy sauce on ice cream.
What'd you think?
Okay.
It was good.
Right?
I'm kind of, when I had it, I was like, I'm not going to be the tiebreaker that they're looking for. Because I kind of see both points of view. Like, it was really tasty, but it didn't like blow my mind. And so I was like, I see what Olivia's saying, but I also kind of see what Victor's saying.
For someone who doesn't like soy sauce, I understand why you wouldn't like it. Because it's not like it doesn't taste like soy sauce at all. Like, you can taste the soy sauce.
Wait,
But
me?
no, Victor doesn't like soy sauce.
Oh, yeah.
But I like soy sauce. So
Yeah,
it
me
works for
too.
me.
I thought like, okay, I did taste like the caramel thing that you were talking about. It did kind of make the ice cream taste like caramel, but like slightly off. Not enough that it tasted bad, but slightly off. It was like good, but the whole time in your brain you're like, I'm eating ice cream with soy sauce all over it, which to me, I'd rather just have caramel on my ice cream.
Well, it's different from, it's not the same thing as caramel. It's a different experience.
It is
but
different.
I did this homework with Shelby. We were at the store, and I was
What'd
like,
she
I
think?
have an assignment. I need to get vanilla ice cream. I already had soy sauce. That's another thing. I have this like imported, like really nice soy sauce with a really distinct, like fermenty kind of flavor.
Ooh.
So that might have thrown the experiment a little. It wasn't like
Yeah.
Kikkoman or whatever. But anyway, I told her about my homework, and she was like, "Oh, that's definitely a pregnant lady snack."
That's
I was
what
like,
everyone keeps saying.
Olivia insists that it isn't.
It's not,
But-
well, okay. Like, that
That
it
it
might
isn't
have,
solely that.
yeah, like it might have started as that, but like, see, like I'm seeing people in like Facebook due date groups posting things like someone posted a picture of a bowl of hot Cheetos in pineapple juice.
Really vile. Yeah.
Like that's the
Really
kind of
bad.
thing people are like into when they're pregnant. And it's like, I feel like if it stands like aside from
Yeah,
me
yeah,
being
that-
pregnant, then it's like, it's not just that. But
No, that's reasonable compared to. You mean like hot Cheetos soaking in pineapple juice?
yeah,
Ugh.
yeah.
Because I could see, I like spicy and pineapple in the same dish, but that's
No, it was like soup.
like
Ugh.
paper mache.
I'm gonna throw
Did
up.
Shelby like the ice cream?
She doesn't like soy sauce,
Oh, yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
but she understood and this is the other thing, because it scratched the salt, like the vanilla ice cream was salty, like the caramel thing, like it scratched that itch. But for me, it lacked a little bit of the texture that usually comes with that, because for me, it's usually like peanuts or
Mm.
pretzels or like French fries or something. Like those are the salty things that I put in ice cream.
Okay, I got to think about what crunchies go in
I think
my
it would've,
soy
like-
sauce sundae.
French fries. Of course.
I don't know.
Those
No,
already have
that's not-
salt on them usually.
Something got to be something like kind of neutral. Saltines.
God.
Rice Krispies.
Ooh, yeah, Rice Krispies. Ooh, I gotta try that.
Or cornflakes. Some kind of neutrally cereal.
Mm.
Okay.
That would be good. I don't think I've ever just like covered a bowl of ice cream and Rice Krispies, but I bet that would be good.
I think I'm gonna do that.
I bet that's good, yeah.
It is a good viewpoint to see the world as a dream.
Do we want to jump into a dream?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure. Do you have one you want to get into?
I always have plenty. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna leave it like open for anyone if anyone else really wants to do something, but I have like a litany of dreams at this point, so.
I got nothing.
Yeah. Well, I did one last week, and then I gave you a little update on it, so I feel like it's all you.
All right, so people were having sex in a swamp, and
As people do.
yeah, it had the vibe of like make out cove or like what is it? Make out
Look out
club.
point.
Make out
Make
point.
out point.
Yeah. And I'm
We all
in.
want to go down a neck and swamp.
I'm in the swamp, and there's like a bunch of people hooking up around, and I hear someone yell croc, like crocodile, and everyone like ducks under the water, and I go under the water, and I can see like it's pretty clear under there. It's green like a swamp, but it's pretty clear. And then I feel a crocodile like come up like it's gonna bite me, but somebody like grabbed a hold of its mouth before it could like chomp on me. And like I turned around, and it was not a crocodile, it was a chupacabra. And sorry, I'm like reading this, and I'm like trying to translate. It says, I struggle with the chipper crap cobra. The chipper
The what?
crap. The chipper crap cobra.
The elusive cryptid, the super crap cobra.
Chipper crap cobra.
That's an episode title.
Chipper.
I should read these ahead of time. It's like half nonsense. But so I'm like struggling with the chupacabra, and I eventually get out of the swamp, and I think I like throw the chupacabra back into the swamp, and I see it get eaten by a crocodile. And then I'm like on the bank of the swamp, and there's a cute little campfire happening. And we're all sitting around this campfire, and there's two girls there who I know from real life. They're not friends in real life, but in this dream they were kind of like sitting together and like kind of in their own little world, like giggling. I like got the sense that they like did drugs together or something, like they did like took Molly together or something. And we're sitting there, and then I'm looking across, and I see there's a bear like kind of coming up behind someone, and I say bear. And like people start to get worried, and then I reassure them, oh no, it's a black bear, like they're chill. He's fine. He'll be fine. I notice that he looks really skinny and cold, and he's like shivering, and I like ask him if he wants to sit with us.
The bear?
Yeah. Yeah, and he said my animals have been like talking, full on talking in my dreams lately. And he's like, "Oh yeah, like okay, don't mind if I do." In like this kind of shy, coy manner, and comes and sits down at the campfire, and really quickly he starts like talking to everyone, and then it turns into like some nonsense, and he's like kind of maniacally laughing and like singing, and it was like kind of scary, and I like instantly regretted inviting him to our campfire. He was totally ruining the vibe, and he said some shit about everyone there having an addiction, and then he said, this is really bizarre. He said, and to the people with eating disorders here, I will use the shards of my body like glass to cut you.
Jesus.
And then he turns into this like red devil thing, and he has this big skull head, and he like twists it and pops it off. It was very disturbing. And the last thing I remember is looking out over a lake, which is on the opposite, like there's a swamp on one side and then there's a lake on the other side. And over the lake, I see like books and candles floating. And that's it. That's the dream.
Well, in typical Olivia fashion, it's full of animals, a mix of some real and some urban legend.
Yeah, I guess that has been happening, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah, you get like fairy tale dreams. Talking bears. Like, what was the talking bear situation like? Like, was his mouth moving, or were
Yeah,
you just like
he was talking.
just
Yeah.
talking like a guy? Okay.
He was kind of like a little bit anthropomorphized. Like he was like sitting in a camping chair and like sitting upright.
But he looked like a regular. It wasn't like
Yeah,
cartoony at all.
he was like kind of skinny and like, yeah, I don't know.
Was he that guy from
he
the
was kind of
Chinese
like
zoo?
He was like a methy kind of bear.
Have you seen that picture going around of like the guy in the bear suit that's supposed to be the attraction at the zoo?
Oh yeah, I sent that to you.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I wonder if we watched Cocaine Bear before I had this dream.
Perhaps.
Meth Bear. Bless you.
But oddly, the bear is very judgmental of people with addiction.
No.
Yeah. Well, I don't
And
know
eating
that he was
disorders.
judgmental. It was weird. It's hard to explain the whole vibe of that.
I guess I was extrapolating from the threat against people with eating disorders.
No, yeah, that sounds like it should be a judgmental. It seemed like it was like a devil disguised as a bear. It wasn't judgmental as much as it was just like evil.
I'm gonna non-judgmentally cut you with my body like shards of knives.
It just seemed like I should gestalt the bear.
Sounds like it.
Gestalt the bear. Yeah, that was a confusing character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to start there? Do you want to like get into symbolism or?
I mean, we can like talk about it a little more, but I think I do want to start with the bear, with gestalting the bear, pretty
Okay.
much. Like I don't know. I have a lot of feelings about this. Like I feel like, yeah, like at first I felt sorry for him, and like he just needed like a place like to warm up by the fire, and then he really quickly like took over the whole situation and like ruined the vibe and was being like chaotic and unpredictable and weird. I don't know what any of it meant. The stuff about like everyone here has an addiction and
The two girls on drugs and then the crazy guy at the campfire made me think of that story of yours of that guy that like. Do I tell that story?
I kind of have to now.
Okay, so oh man, yeah, it was like that. It was just like that. Oh my god. Okay, so one time, many moons ago, in my early 20s, I was at a music festival and I was with my friend, and we were like coming down off of acid. So like we were in great spirits. We were having a great night. But it was like after all the music, so we were at the campground and we were sitting around talking with our friends, and this guy comes up and was like, "Hey, do you guys have water? Can I have some of your water?" And so we're like, "Sure, like here's a bottle of water." And he sits down and like really quickly starts like telling his life story, and it it was like really weird. And he started talking about how he like lived on a farm and was really into the devil's lettuce. Like he kept talking about the devil's lettuce, and my friend and I just like were like so giggly and like cannot like sit there with a straight face while this guy is like going on and on about the devil's lettuce, and like we're sitting there trying not to laugh but not doing a very good job, and so we
Meaning
excuse
weed?
ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah, he was talking about weed, but like how in a negative way. I don't know. It was strange, and we were like super giggly and like could not contain ourselves from like laughing because we were coming off of drugs. And so we left. We like went for a walk, and and then we came back like 40 minutes later and sat back down with everyone, and we were like, what was with that guy? That guy was so weird. That was so weird, and we could not contain ourselves. What the fuck was that about? And my friend goes, what guy? And I go, the guy who came and asked for water and sat down and talked about the devil's lettuce. And I look, and he's still sitting right where he was when we left.
I knew he was either going to be still there or never there.
Oh my god. Yeah. And so we left again. Came back about 10 minutes later, and the guy was gone.
Like a more menacing version of that story.
Oh my god. It was like that. Like, I was like kind of mortified by this guy sitting there, like, or this bear sitting there, like, kind of being really weird and like interrupting our vibe.
How is everybody else reacting?
I was actually really focused on how I was feeling. This is actually reminiscent of other things that I feel in real life. Like, I have a hard time if, like, even if I'm in a group of strangers, if somebody is like I can feel that everybody else there feels that someone is being like weird or like bringing weird energy to the vibe. Like, I get real worked up about that. Like, I feel like anxious and like have to leave.
I have the opposite thing. When I've been in scenarios like that in the past, I have a tendency that nobody likes to like engage that person, and I'm like, well, let's get to the bottom of this weirdo. And I don't know. I think I find discomfort and awkwardness like more amusing than I should.
I feel like I'm kind of the same. If someone seems like really coming from a different place than I am, I just ask a lot of questions. I'm just trying to figure out what goes on in this person's brain.
It's the chaos that like is not good with me. Like, you ever...
Yeah, that's what's funny to me about those situations.
I don't know, man. Like, if somebody shows up and is like way more like a stranger shows up and is like super super drunk, and the rest of us are like not, and they're like insistent on like spending time with us, that happens kind of often. But yeah, no, that makes me uncomfortable. I don't care for that. Anyway, that's what it felt like with the bear.
Okay, now tell me what the chupacabra looked like.
I think you mean the chipper crap cobra.
Yeah, this chipper crap cobra. What did that look like?
Just like a chipper crap cobra.
Which one? The where's the original chupacabra from? South America, right?
Mexico.
Yeah, I think of it as a Mexican thing, but I don't know if it's from somewhere else originally. But what did it look like in your dream?
It looked like a chupacabra.
Describe it.
Okay.
That's why we're asking, because I saw a chupacabra one time.
What?
But
okay, forget what her dream chupacabra looked like. What did your real chupacabra look like?
What I saw was a weird fucked up dog in northern Maine, where I grew up. And I hadn't yet learned what a chupacabra was, but I knew the term. So I was like, was that a chupacabra? Like way too excited. And I looked it up, and there is like a quote unquote Canadian chupacabra that looks like this weird dog I saw. It was like super tall and had like 3 different colors of fur, and it was like skinny like a fox but the size of a wolf. And I think it's totally something that could and probably does exist in the real world with
I know that there are in the Northeast, there's actually a decent population of coy dogs and coy wolves, where like a coyote breeds with a wolf or a dog, and you get some fucked up weird looking dogs.
Yeah, but then it had like fur like a fox. It was weird.
Yeah, I believe you.
And I remember at the time, I mean, I was like in middle school, and this thing came up to like its back was like up to my chest on my bicycle. I saw it out in the woods, like on a trail in the middle of winter. And yeah, according to this Wikipedia article I found at the time, that's the Canadian chupacabra, but I don't know what the other one looks like. The OG goat
kind
eater
of looked
one.
like a Xolo dog, XOLO.
That's what it looked like?
Kind of, but like more fucked up and mean.
Okay. Kind of like Do you remember the weird dog things in like Ghostbusters?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember what they looked like.
Those things.
Yeah, it looked like a cross between that and a Sholo dog. I have more thoughts about this dream, but maybe we gestalt the bear.
Yeah, and then do you eventually want to get into the alligator part?
Wait, what are we doing? I'm fully on cryptids now.
We're gonna gestalt the bear.
Ah, okay.
We're gonna pivot into a cryptid podcast.
We do that sometimes,
I've
don't
been
we?
angling for that for like a year.
So
You
from the
guys don't
beginning,
bite.
Victor never wanted to do dreams. Always Bigfoot this, centaurs that.
If anyone wants to co-host a cryptid podcast with me, write into the Young and the Restless pod at Gmail.
Okay, let me get into my bear brain.
Rawr. Did that help?
Mm.
Just remembering scenes from Cocaine Bear.
I didn't like that movie.
Yeah, I wasn't that into
You didn't? It looked fun.
It was just like, I don't know, it was just a bear killing people. That was all it really was. There was like no plot really outside of that.
The plot is Bear did cocaine.
Yes, that's
Yep,
the other half of
that's
the
it.
plot.
That's
yeah.
the whole thing. Someone dropped cocaine from a plane. Bear does cocaine. Bear kills people.
It's like, it's fine.
Sounds like a work of art, but
It's like, it's one of those things where you kind of get everything you need from like just hearing the premise, and then actually watching it executed is like, okay, I get it. Okay. Are you in the mind of the Cocaine Bear?
No, give me a sec.
the devil's lettuce bear.
Do you feel like it was truly a bear or truly a devil?
I felt like it was. That's what I was just trying to work out. Is like I kind of feel like the bear didn't have much of a choice in what happened to it when it sat down, and like,
Like it was possessed?
yeah, kind of.
Do you think there was a bear, or was it just like an illusion?
It kind of felt like an illusion.
Hmm.
Or skinwalker?
I don't know. It felt weird. It did feel like there was a poor, sad, cold bear at the beginning, but once he started talking, he just, yeah. Okay, we can do this.
Okay. You ready?
No, give me a sec. I keep saying give me a sec, and then you guys keep talking to me.
You just said we can do this.
I was talking to myself. Okay.
My purpose is
I want to say to get in.
my goal is
To scare them?
my biggest fear is
Okay. What came to me was that they'll go on being happy.
I love,
Power?
I hate,
Feeling alone.
I desire, or I wish.
To have control.
Okay. My purpose is to get in. My goal is to scare them. My biggest fear is they'll go on being happy. I love power. I hate feeling alone. And I desire to have control.
So the bear is.
Me. Sounds just like me.
Yeah.
Well, the bear is a part of me, right?
Right.
The Bear is a show on Hulu.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
That's what this is about. Well, it could be a part of you, but it could be your, like, the way you see a person in your life, right?
I don't know. Like, do we subscribe to? I do kind of feel like everything in a dream is like an aspect of yourself. At least that has checked out for us so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess even when you're like literally seeing somebody else as like a part of you, just that has to do with that relationship to that person or how you see that person or, et cetera.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes like a character in a dream serves the purpose of like playing a role, right? But behind that is an element of yourself, right? It's like there's a part of yourself that might be like playing a character,
Yeah.
And there's a reason why that part of yourself is dressed up in that role on this like dream stage, you know? I think
Yeah.
like the feeling alone thing is really interesting. It doesn't seem to like connect with the rest of this.
Yeah.
And so I think maybe that like feeling alone maybe connects to something more real.
Yeah. No, I think like the rest of this looks like honestly this looks like this paints a picture of like an insecure or like narcissistic person, right? Like where there's all these outward portrayals of like wanting to have power and like not wanting other people to be happy and wanting to control the situation. But like what it really boils down to is you hate being alone. You're like insecure or whatever. It comes down to something that's a little more real and actually about you.
Yeah, and there are people for which like their narcissistic behavior is a response to trauma, you
Yeah.
know?
Certainly.
Yeah, and I mean, you use the word power, but you've talked in other episodes about like how as a kid you were you felt like you were grasping for control,
Yeah.
which could be a synonym for power, or power could be like a perverted or alternate interpretation of the idea of control. So I don't know, I'm just thinking if the bear is you, you know, that could be where those messages or that messaging comes from.
I think this also like it raises the question of like who the people at the gathering are or like what they represent. Like
Yeah.
my
The gathering
fear
of the
is
juggalos.
that they'll go on being happy. Yeah, the juggalos having the sex party in the swamp. What do they mean?
That sounds like them.
Yeah, no, so the only other two people at the campfire that I remember recognizing are the two girls that I know them from real life. They aren't friends. They do know each other. And in the dream it felt like they took Molly, and I remember saying to them like I remember saying to them like that's not really fun for the rest of us. Like for you to be in your own little world or something. I don't remember exactly what I said, but I said something to them about that because it felt like they were like that everyone else was excluded from what was going on with them. And I also remember feeling like the comment from the bear about people with eating disorders was directed at these two people specifically. Which that honestly that stands out to me like the most in this whole dream. Like that's I don't know what to make of that exactly, but
do you feel like that comment had any like weight of truth to it, or do you feel like it was a hyperbolic cutting comment like designed to hurt them? Like, you know what I mean? Like, did it ring true, or did it ring as a just a hurtful thing to say?
Yeah, I think that it was meant to be like scary, but like when you say that, I'm like, what I was about to say is like that's such a fucked up thing to say. Like, first of all, to talk about that to me rings as something that's like you don't talk about that.
It's a serious thing to invoke.
Yeah, and it's like to like bring that up and and like in such a threatening manner is like so super cruel and it was really uncomfortable in the dream, and I was like uncomfortable reflecting on the dream. Like that was the most disturbing part.
Did you have the sense when that threat was made that like there were specific people there that applied to? Like people you like were there people there you knew had eating disorders? Did you have an eating disorder in the dream?
No, but yes, I felt like it was directed at the two girls who were on Molly.
Okay.
And that like when I was thinking about this, I that is not something that is like a part of my story or my struggle, but like these two people both had talked to me at one point about that being a part of their struggle in real life.
Mhm.
Which is why, like, at first I was like, oh, that's weird that, like, it would put them together because they're not friends, but that is a thing that they have in common.
So something your subconscious may have reached for is like whatever this bear is trying to do. Like if it's trying to cut deep, that would be like a common thread.
Yeah, and I was like trying to think about like why my brain would reach for that in particular, because it's not personal to me. And I think what resonates about that is that like currently my body is changing a lot, and like that is bringing up some weird insecurities that like I was not like anticipating feeling like during pregnancy, you know? So like I don't know if it connects to that, but that's been something that's coming up in my dreams lately. And this is maybe like the first, like it's gotten more overt since then, but like
What, like physical insecurity?
yeah, like I am currently in real life having feelings about the changes that are happening to my body. It's like really fucking
Sure.
weird that my body is changing the way it is. And so like that's maybe what that is like pointing at.
I could see that. Speaking of pregnancy, this dream started with crocodile or alligators,
Crocodiles.
which immediately made me think of, I know they're different lizards or whatever, but
barely.
it made me think of your alligator show dream, which turned out to be about, it was pre-pregnancy, but the dream was about thinking about it, you know?
Right. Well, and since then alligators have been really linked to babies in my mind.
Right. And that, from the way you told the dream, is like, that feels like the setting.
Yeah.
I'm going to read the crocodile entry in the Dream Bible real quick. Okay, here it is. Please see alligators.
There you go. That would be weird if they were radically different.
My first thought is that a crocodile would just be like a bigger, badder alligator, right? Alligators are like...
Are they bigger and badder? I don't know.
Yeah, they absolutely are. They totally... I mean, alligators can be pretty big, but like crocodiles they can be monstrous.
I just know that alligators you see later and crocodiles you see in a while.
Mm. That's the only
That's the key difference, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we want to get into some of the other symbols here?
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to. I want to ask you questions about that dynamic. So do you feel
Ask me questions. That's
do you
better.
feel like the bear demon was there because of the two girls?
No.
Okay. The bear was just there for everybody,
Yes.
but then called out the two girls specifically.
Yeah. The bear said, everyone here is here because they have an addiction. And then, like, spat out that, like, the line about, I'm going to use the shards of my body like glass to cut you. That's what he said. And that felt like just like a spiteful kind of like it felt like it was intended to scare them specifically.
What do you feel like your addiction was in the dream that was being called out?
I have no idea.
Well, think about it for a second.
Okay.
Vanilla ice cream and soy sauce.
Bubble waffle.
Oh, I actually want one tonight.
Yeah, okay, we'll do that.
Also, when, like, after tying the that comment into the dysmorphia thing into pregnancy and the alligators into pregnancy, do you feel like this is a pregnancy dream, or do you feel like it's about something else and it just happens to be wrapped in a pregnancy gift wrap?
I think it's about a few things. I just haven't like exactly tied how it is about those things. I think there's a big part of it that is about like pregnancy, and like I think there's a big part of it that's about like childhood stuff for me. And honestly, gestalting the bear, like I think that gives me some information. I'm not totally sure how to talk about it on the pod.
Side note, does Victor's sweater have bears on it?
It does.
It does.
Hey, synchronicity.
Mm.
Like, I do think that like dream characters and symbols are all like coming from a part of me. This feels like a reflection of a person who I have challenges with in my life. And maybe it is a reflection of how I see that person. And maybe that's the part of it that's me.
You're not talking about Victor, though.
It's Victor. Yeah, he's a real piece of shit. He just rolls into parties, super loud and obnoxious, and just...
He already said he was the bear, and then he has bears on his shirt.
Yeah.
Well, okay, I only do that because my biggest fear is that they'll go on being happy.
And you're scared of being alone.
Right. So I want to get in and scare them. I love power.
Threaten them all, call them out on their addictions.
A little shrug. I love power.
I'm just a little power hungry boy.
You know those dreams that are just like, here's a picture of what's going on with Olivia right now. I feel like it's like there's a few different things in there that are all like pretty present on my mind right now.
It's a bit of a mosaic.
Yeah, but it really felt really like dark and like fucked up and unsettling. And we were talking about it like before we started recording, and like Victor was like, "Oh, we don't do a lot of nightmares for a dream podcast," and I was like, well, it wasn't quite a nightmare. And then I was thinking about like what makes it a nightmare, you know, what makes a dream a nightmare. And I think it's like how afraid you are, right? Like this was really weird and unsettling and uncomfortable. But I wasn't like terrified at any point during this dream.
Yeah, because one person's nightmare is another person's like fun action dream.
Right. Yeah.
You know?
And like it just depends on the night, like, or what your brain is trying to tell you, right? Like, because sometimes I'll have a dream that's like pretty mundane seeming, but I'm like really terrified. It feels like that was a nightmare, you know?
I also feel like before we started doing this podcast, I had more nightmares because I was more afraid of my dreams.
Mm.
And approaching all of them with like an analytical mind makes them less creepy, I feel like.
Yeah. That is interesting because I used to like fly away when something was like icky in a dream. Like if something was too creepy, I would just like leave. And maybe I don't do that as much. I don't remember the last time I did that.
That's really cool if it's like doing this podcast and talking about this way is like making us more active and like getting more out of our dreams. Like we're growing more from our dreams because we're like more like connected to them.
Yeah, I mean, remember you didn't dream at all when we started. I mean, you haven't been dreaming very much lately, but there was a good period of time there where we were like alternating. Like you would have one every third episode, you know?
Yeah. Maybe that'll come back.
I also I remember I was talking to someone that we had just met about our podcast, and she was like insistent that she had one really scary dream when she was a little kid, and she has not remembered her dreams ever since. And I told her, like, I was like,
that's
oh,
interesting.
I know, it's super interesting. We were talking about it. But like, she was like, no, I don't remember a single dream. I've never had a dream since. I was like, you should try just like in the morning, instead of like hopping out of bed, just like lay there for a second. Or I don't know, like she was asking like, how do you remember your dreams? And I was like, I don't know, you just kind of have to like try and remember them. And like she came back to me like a week later and was like, I had a dream. I'm like, that's crazy. You have not had a dream in like 20 something years and you're dreaming now. Like I think that just engaging with dreams can help you to remember them. And
yeah, dreaming is like sleep paralysis. Talking about it makes it more likely that it'll happen to you.
exactly.
So remember to think about that tonight, listeners.
I think my dream from last week could have been during another period of time in my life classified as a nightmare.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not a nightmare, but like it felt spooky. I mean, especially when I woke up and I had the hallucination of a hand touching the back of my head. I mean, that scared me in real life, but being constantly engaged with it, like on a week to week basis, makes it feel less, I don't know, foreign.
Well, like that fear response is you really not wanting to look at something that's coming up in a dream.
Yeah.
And the anxiety, like the like uncomfortable dreams are like, well, this is an uncomfortable thing for you to think about or process. But like, because we're all kind of coming to this trying to be open and trying to be self-reflective and everything, it's probably making it less likely that we're running into something that we really like reject as like, there's no way that I'm going to look at that or think about that.
Yeah, exactly. When I have like something impactful, especially if it's like kind of spooky or eerie, that's when I'm most likely to roll over and write it down, because I'm like, oh, this is good. This one will be this one is rich for us to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I approach this like I'm going to bring whatever dream I think is going to be interesting for us to talk about. And if we run into something that I don't want to talk about on the pod, like I'm pretty open, but there's stuff that I'm going to like keep private. And like, you know, when we run into that stuff, I will acknowledge that we've run into that thing, and we will usually like move past it in a way that is hopefully somewhat graceful. But like,
Yeah,
I'm never trying to avoid talking about it or like trying to like make up another thing that it might be, you know?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, either you're getting better at recognizing that ahead of time, or you're getting really accustomed to, or really graceful about talking around it, because we haven't had to take a full-on break in a long time in order to, like, figure out how we're going to talk about shit. That used to be, like, a thing we had to do, like, semi-frequently, where we had to, like, full stop the episode and be like, how do we talk about this? And then, like, edit around that, and we haven't had to do that in a while. It's been pretty seamless.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I feel like I need to do that, but I kind of feel like I'm sharing what I'm good with sharing, and like, yeah, there might be gaps for the listeners in certain areas, but it's meaningful for me to figure out what some of these things mean, even if I can't like fully get into it for the world to hear.
I don't know if that's the important part. I think even just the sharing of the dream and the analyzing of it, hopefully for people, is like enough to like get them engaged with their own dreams, or even engage with your dream from a theoretical standpoint. Like the details may even of your own personal life may be kind of irrelevant to them, not to you, but
Sure. Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's like necessary to the pod for you to spill every last gut.
No, but I am comfortable going there. I'm pretty much comfortable going there unless it like involves other people. Like that's
Right.
kind of where I draw. That's the only times we've ever had to stop. The only times I'm like talking around something is when I'm trying to like
Spare the innocent.
Yeah, I don't want to like be talking about people. I want to be
Without their
careful about
permission.
how I talk about people. Yeah.
For sure.
But for the most part, like I'm happy to get into most things on here,
Yeah,
even when it's uncomfortable.
Something we all have in common, and maybe something that helps this podcast work, is we're all inclined to like throw ourselves under the bus first. Where like if there is anything going on, it's like, it was me, it was my fault. Let me explain. I apologize ahead of time, you know? So we're all pretty willing to be like, oh yeah, I did this wrong, or I made this mistake, or I have this fault.
Yeah, we're not exactly buck passers.
No.
For better or worse.
But
yeah, how you feeling on that dream, Olivia? Sorry, what were we going to say, Victor?
I was going to say, I agree with you. You know, it's great that we have hundreds of thousands of listeners now and big sponsorships. And, you know, this podcast is really taking off. But it's not about the listeners all the time. It's about our personal growth, our ability to grow and change from doing this together as friends.
That's right. But thank you for listening. Tell your friends. Rate us on iTunes.
Yeah, I think there's still things here for me to unpack, I guess. I feel like there's like a few key things that I feel like this dream's about, and I have dots to connect.
Are there any like big symbols that came up that you're like either really curious or like think are really important, or also are just really curious what they might mean?
Candle.
Candle. Okay. Did the candle
Candle.
seem to have like a lot of weight at the end there?
It was just interesting, like that the dream ended like with this peaceful shot of like books and candles floating out on the lake.
Okay, I have 2 questions for you. Was it a burning candle?
Yes.
Was it a red candle?
No.
Okay. To see a burning candle in your dream represents hope or possibility, a positive outlook or belief during an uncertain time, beliefs that give you confidence in difficult situations. Alternatively, you may be experiencing some good luck during a hard time. And there's negatively,
It felt positive.
and
Like
it wasn't a candlelight dinner.
No. Yeah, no, it felt like the dream literally it like cut from this like maniacal bear devil like screaming and threatening people and then like twisting its head and popping its head off. It just like it was like that, and then like
I
cut
forgot
to
about that part.
peaceful like nighttime shot. The crickets are chirping. The candle is floating.
There's an interesting, decapitation is kind of an interesting entry. To dream of decapitation represents decision-making that has been cut off, the severing of control, an aspect of your personality or your projection of a situation that is being cut off from making choices. It may also reflect the severing of relationships, cutting yourself off from bad habits permanently, a dramatic positive change in your life.
That does resonate.
Hmm.
Like I feel like I'm currently in a place where like what I've talked about in recent episodes of like working on engaging differently in my life, like with setting boundaries with people, and like there's a few other things, but like cutting yourself off from bad habits permanently, dramatic positive change, like that resonates for me.
Just out of curiosity, let's take a look at the alligator dream. Right, the alligator meaning. To dream of an alligator represents a situation in your life that you feel is dangerous, feeling that a problem has rocked your sense of balance or safety, feeling shaken by something or struggling to contain a problem. An alligator may also reflect a powerful fear that you have. An alligator may be a sign that you need to put more effort into confronting your fears or speak to someone about your problems.
The alligator never got me. It was a
monster.
It was a chupacabra, and then I fed the chupacabra to the crocodile.
Is there a chupacabra entry?
No, I found a generic monsters entry, but
That feels more like the bear felt like a monster.
Also, we haven't talked about how this whole dream started with you saying there was a bunch of people fucking in a swamp.
Yeah, what's a swamp?
And what does it mean to have group sex in one?
This is actually, I think this is relevant. To dream of a swamp represents issues or situations that feel stagnated or impossible to escape. There may be something in your life that makes you feel trapped or in over your head. Unbearable feelings of never getting to make progress, that you are permanently stuck. Feeling stuck in situations you don't like. Feeling stuck in a job you don't like. Difficulty with getting through a problem that feels like it won't ever let go. The unbearableness of wondering if you are ever going to get through a problem while you keep trying your best anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like that resonates. Like I feel like whatever you're struggling with, whether it's anxiety, like anxiety is a thing that like you can work on. You can work on like dealing with it better, but it's like it's so fucking hard when your brain has like developed to be a certain way. And like that's, you know, I'm in therapy right now, and like the things I'm working on are like part of how my brain is wired. I'm working on rewiring my brain. That feels pretty impossible a lot of the time. And that is conscious incompetence, right? Which can feel like being stuck. but it's not. It's just like progress is slow.
Well, I think we nailed it as, Olivia always wants to go to these bog swamp parties where everyone's fucking, and I just burst in and yell at everybody.
Victor never wants to go to bog swingers with me.
Yeah.
He's just a big bear about it.
Swamp swingers.
Swamp swingers.
Big industry in Florida.
Mm.
Yeah. I think this dream has a lot to unpack. And yeah, I do think it's kind of just like a picture of where I'm at right now, like the things that I'm struggling with and like the things that are really present on my mind right now. And it also kind of has like a hopeful ending there, which is also kind of how I feel. Like there's a lot, it's kind of hard to feel like stuck when I know that like having a baby is going to be like everything's going to change, and it's going to perpetually change, you know? Like there's going to be so much change and a lot of forward momentum all the time. And it's going to be hard and exhausting, but it's like there's a new chapter like right on the horizon. So it's kind of hard to feel like I'm actually stuck in a bad place, even though there's like hard things that I'm grappling with right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff you should, or I assume you feel like you should do, but the actual act of giving birth is going to happen either way. Like and everything after that is going to happen.
Right.
There's nothing you have to do to make that actually happen.
Yeah, there's no putting it off either. It's
right.
Just we're on a timeline here.
Yeah, there's all the research you need to do, or have been doing to make it go as well as possible. And I'm sure that feels like a time crunch and that's stressful. But, like you were saying, you can only feel so stuck when you know that like it's underway.
Right. And like, I guess it feels like the stuff that is like stressful and like weighing on me. Like, yeah, obviously like there's like researching baby stuff and like how the fuck am I going to take care of a newborn? But that is like all kind of like doable. Like I know that that's doable. People do it all the damn time. The stuff that is like heavier is like, my own shit and like childhood stuff and like just stuff that has been like that is not going to work itself out like in the next 4 months, 5 months. How many? I don't know. God, it's going by quick.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that stuff is still going to be there when the kid comes, but I'm going to continue to work on it and everything is evolving. Okay, bye.
Thank you for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can follow us on social media at The Jung and the Restless Pod and submit your dreams for interpretation to thejungandtherestlesspod at Gmail.
And as we always say,
Have some courage, you sea dog.
You a tiger lily on the moon, and maybe someday we could go there together. For now the clock is screaming, welcome home. Dream forever, dream forever.
swamp sex party, or
Are you down to
Tonight?
go?
yeah, still time.
All right, Victor's had a change of heart.
Hey, what hors d'oeuvres do you even bring to a swamp swinger party?
I'm picturing like pieces of ham that are rolled up in cream cheese, like a little spiral.
Yeah.
Just gagged a little.